Yeah,
That's a good point.
Well,
Yeah.
I think my original kind of like thing was not about race as so much as you mentioned Victoria's Secret and you mentioned overweight, obese women.
I never said obese. I said bigger.
And they're not obese. They're just
I'm
mean,
bigger
they're
than her. Am I
naturally-
obese?
I mean, you're wearing a XL T-shirt, so I can't really assess. But I don't suspect you're obese.
Thanks.
You don't look
but I
obese.
wouldn't be in a Victoria's Secret ad.
You might. What do you mean you wouldn't be?
I would not fit the requirements to be in a Victoria's Secret ad, and I'm not
No.
obese.
Well,
I am bigger.
actually-
Victoria's Secret was
women.
canceled, so I think like that
But
was
even
good.
not
Victoria's
just,
Secret
like-
for what? So then learn even in anything, it packs on like any fucking ad. Like it's just
Yeah.
simple
I
modeling
think
requirements.
we have made. I mean, have you seen like the Victoria's Secret ads recently?
Calvin
they, like,
Klein?
made
Oh my
like a. They
I've
have
seen the
like
Calvin
made
Klein,
like
yeah.
a really active push to have like bigger women on there, women of color, and
The one,
But they
the
still
one Paloma
have
Essler.
standards to be like how
Yeah.
tall you are.
They're
how
only
much
doing
you
that because
weigh,
they've
and,
been
like,
literally egged on for fucking years. They're not doing this out of the kindness of their own hearts. They're doing this to make money and to hope that people come to their stores again.
yeah.
They are businesses.
Yeah.
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 It's to me, I think it's pretty shocking that, I mean, when you think of a Victoria's Secret model, you think of a certain thing. I mean, what was the thing with the Sports Illustrated?
I don't think that's shocking at all because
No.
they all look the same.
They all do.
That's
look the
exactly
same.
what you do. There are requirements on
No,
their website.
I'm talking about
casting.
like the overweight. There was a runway model who was Victoria's Secret recently.
Why do you have to
No.
say overweight? Why can't
No.
you say bigger or like?
What?
It was no runway for Victoria's Secret that's overweight because Victoria's Secret stopped doing runways years ago.
Yeah, because they got canceled for
Years
it.
ago.
Years
I'm
ago.
pretty sure, Eric. Can you try to
But yeah, I was
find?
gonna
There's
say,
like
can we like see a photo?
Victoria's Secret.
What about the
overweight.
Fendi shows? Like those are.
But that's
those are
different
That's
because
Fenty.
that's
That's
Rihanna.
Rihanna, a
that
black
she's trying to push
woman.
it. I mean, look at how
She's
many
doing it.
look at how many shades she made. Like
Well,
if you
I-
look
She did
back,
that because
so
she
it's
was
just
a
a
person-
good
she was a woman of color.
I'm not a
a
representative
larger
of BS,
weight.
guys. I was just saying,
No,
like,
no,
isn't
no.
that a good thing that Fendi is like popular?
it
People
is.
love
But you
Fendi?
also have to
it's very
understand
white
that's
people.
it didn't come from
Rihanna.
Rihanna, and she
I
knew that
know,
there
I
were
love
so many
Rihanna.
different like.
I don't think she's trying to like go against it. I think
wasn't-
she's trying to bring up a
I was
company
just saying, like,
who-
isn't that great that like Fendi?
Well, I was also gonna bring up, like-
It
stuff,
definitely
like
is,
we
yeah.
have black-owned businesses
Yeah.
like leading the
Exactly.
beauty industry. That's. a
I
good
was
thing.
gonna bring up
That's great.
Skims,
Eric-
Skims, because she
Eric-
also kind of does like the same thing.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
You
Eric,
know?
can you pull up? Actually, search for the Calvin Klein, say plus size ad, and just show us all the search results under images. What? Oh, sure. Scroll down. Pull up that very first one, the New York Post one. All right, she's obese.
What classifies obese?
Yeah.
She's obese. I mean,
Do you have her doctor on the line?
she is. I have eyes.
I
So
feel like
I don't think we should be glamorizing obesity.
I don't
It's
think
not
anybody's
glamorizing
glamorizing
obesity.
obesity.
You just have to understand that there are so many people that will look just like her. That doesn't mean she's obese. But then
She
you
is
also
obese.
need to remember
She's by
there are people
definition
that
obese.
Also, that are her size that also want to buy Calvin Klein, and before they couldn't, and now they're advertising that they actually are capable of putting out
You just said it
production
yourself.
of that.
You just said it yourself. They're businesses, so they're going to advertise in the way that'll make them money. A lot of their clientele are people of this size, so why would they not put them in their ads?
Exactly.
What is only white
What
skinny
does
people are allowed to buy?
obese have to do with anything?
Yeah.
It's just that's the size she is. You want to see your size also being represented and know that you can also go and buy the same products as other people.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to get at because I know what Brian's trying to get at here, but I feel like this is a bad example because like Calvin Klein like is like they're just selling to their audience. If their audience is fat or like
Definitely.
like weighs more than they like are advertising to people that weigh more.
You know what,
I know
though?
you're
I'm-
talking about glamorizing,
Well,
which is like
let's talk about
different.
finances. I'm not even convinced that this is necessarily going to make them more money. I realize that they're businesses and it's corporations, and obviously they want to make money, but you have to understand that corporations have been infiltrated by these sort of by the woke movement and by these diversity, what is it, DEI, diversity, equity, include. I don't know what it's called, but so it's not clear to me that they're actually making more money by doing this.
I think it's about acknowledging inclusivity.
It's
I
not
don't.
about
I don't think
making
it's
money.
glamorizing whatsoever. but it's acknowledging like, hey, you can still buy from us. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable and that you're included in what we're trying to sell. And I think that's why they're promoting more with girls who are bigger than like the normal size, or girls who aren't just white.
Sorry. I totally agree with that, but I think it's a domino effect, especially with businesses. I agree with you. I don't think that necessarily it will increase their revenue. However, I do think the media affects their whole business.
Definitely.
If the media doesn't agree with you, they will rip you to shreds and goodbye to your business. If they go along with what people want you to be advertising, then maybe they'll buy your product, but that consideration is worth something versus just a no.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. Say that like if you're a smoker and you feel like shamed in society, should we have like advertisements glamorizing like cigarettes and things like that to make people who do smoke feel more feel like more welcomed, and like they can live their life how they want to live their life, even if it's actually killing them?
I personally think that is a completely far-fetched comparison. Smoking is a substance. It's
Obesity.
a chemical.
It's a substance.
Excuse me. Smoking is a substance. Obesity is something that you live
Yeah,
with.
we don't
every
need the
single day.
attitude. We don't need the attitude.
What?
There's
attitude?
no attitude.
There's no
She's just
attitude.
trying to
No,
say
just
what
the
she
way you
has to
said
say.
excuse me. Just like if I interrupted, that's fine, but go ahead. I don't need the attitude. Go ahead, continue.
Okay.
Just the way you said excuse me is like go on.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyway, I feel like smoking is a substance, and yes, food is a substance as well. It's something that you ingest and you choose to do, but you don't walk around and you don't look at someone. If they don't have a cigarette on them, you don't know they're a smoker. If you look at someone who's obese, you know they're obese. So they live with that constantly, all the time.
But why is, if it's something they can control and they can like not be obese if they want to not be obese, then
But
a
it's
lot
not
of people
that
can't
easy.
actually because of severe mental illnesses.
it's not
Binge
easy to
eating-
quit
binge eating
smoking
disorder is a
either, but
very
that doesn't mean we
serious
should be
mental
glamorizing
issue.
smoking.
But
Exactly, yes,
you
but-
agree we're glamorizing people who are like overweight? Or also, like, I don't think we should put a negative connotation on calling someone fat. Like, I think it's our choice to, if you're fat and skinny are just descriptive words, I don't think there needs to be a negative connotation. So like if a woman is fat, like that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I don't feel like advertising women who are fat or overweight, like I don't feel like it's glamorizing it. And just like, I don't think putting a skinny woman is glamorizing it either, but like that's just how media portrays it.
Yeah.
If you don't think putting skinny women and only skinny women as models in ad isn't glamorizing being skinny, then I thought that's what we were saying earlier, is that we grew up in the 2000s, everyone in a magazine was skinny, and to us that felt like glamorizing, that's what we thought was okay. And
Because
what
I
was-
feel like
Well,
once you get to a
glamorizing
certain
and
point,
enforcing a beauty standard are very different things.
and also to a certain point, after so many years of pushing that like standard, then like why can't we have more of a diverse community being shown and portrayed? Because that's what you walk around with every single day, but that's not what you see in ads.
Yeah.
So does that mean we should have ads for like other things that are just unhealthy? My thing is just like the unhealthy part of it. So like that means it's important to have ads with people doing heroin. A certain like population of the like a certain percentage of the population does heroin, like does things that are like plenty unhealthy. Does that mean that that's what we should be like promoting in advertisements?
But that's also
No, but
completely different.
that's very different. I don't
Because like
understand how
heroin you can get
and
addicted to,
being
but like when
larger-
you're also obese, some people are just naturally born like that, and when they grow up they just can't get out of it because that's what they've been born into, and that's all they know.
or chronic
that-
illnesses.
Or
You
they
don't have the
literally
ability to
have-
lose weight.
yeah.
PCOS.
But
A lot of women know about that. Eating disorders, binge eating disorders, those can stem from other places that aren't addiction to food. It can come from serious shit that happened in your childhood, and you rely on this to help you. It's an illness, agreed, but it's not completely the same as things like a cigarette. They're two definitely illnesses, definitely substances, but they're two very different things.
Well, I think the cigarette comparison is actually quite apt because we've taken steps to stop cigarette advertisements.
yeah, good point. Because we have we saw that. Okay,
Let me just add one
Yeah.
thing really quick, and then I'll. And I think you can actually make the argument that obesity is a much bigger problem now than cigarette smoking. It's a far greater cause of early mortality. I haven't looked at the stats, but I'm pretty sure more people die of obesity than
definitely.
of like lung disease from smoking.
Yeah, sure. So if we talk about like the United States, go back 50 years maybe, and a vast majority of the population smokes. Everyone goes along with it. It's glamorized. It's normal. It's, you know, people can't help it, whatever. We finally have research that shows how bad it is for your health. And then we go on decades-long campaign that takes a long time to get smoking out of Calvin Klein ads, because it's not, you know, it's not something that should be glamorized. We put education in schools so people understand how bad it is for you. And now we know that being overweight and obese has similarly catastrophic effects for your health. Why are we not on a campaign now of like encouraging people in every domain to avoid having this lifestyle habit or something like that?
I think we definitely are encouraging it, just like we encourage people not to do heroin.
Is putting an obese woman on a billboard of Calvin Klein?
I don't think it's encouraging you to want to be fat.
I don't think it's,
I don't think it's
no one's like,
but
oh,
it's
I'm
not
going to be fat.
discouraging it.
Well, I think it's more about
If you're a fat person, never do you see an image of another fat person and say, thank God there's another fat person. I feel so great about being fat
I thought
now.
you guys just told me though
No,
that was
I
the
didn't
whole
say-
point
no,
of having
no, no.
overweight women
Well,
in advertising.
No, it
because
was
this is
about
they
it
can
was
feel
about being.
comfortable.
I'm
I
not
thought
the
you
only
told me
one.
that.
No, it's about showing that, you know what, other people can do this and they can be pretty, and you still feel like shit. You still feel like shit.
So if the ads don't do anything, why do we have them up there? If it doesn't make people
because
who look
people
like that
ask
feel
for them. I don't know. I'm
a
not
good
an
way.
obese person, so
I have to think. I do think they want to feel included. I do think they want to see that image of themselves, and I do feel like
Like
they're
validation.
yeah, and I do think that makes them feel good to see it. And on your point, I do agree. On a health standpoint, we shouldn't be promoting that, but it's like, where is the line where when people are being called unbeautiful or not beautiful, like, and we're supposed to agree with them and say like, okay, you're not just because you're overweight. But yeah, on a health standpoint, I do agree. Like at that sense, yeah, it's not healthy. So like, where how do you market that and get someone to be like, I feel good and it's okay for me to be that way, or they feel like shit at the end of the day?
I agree that I don't think like shaming people, calling them ugly is a way to make people healthy. I do strongly feel like to get to health, to like get to a healthy weight, it has to come out of self-love, not self-hate. But I don't think like the more that we say it's okay to be obese, you can feel welcome and included in like American society being obese. I just, you know, I don't know if people understand how diabetes, you can lose your limbs when you have diabetes. It's something that I just don't
it's
think
not
we
a
should-
choice though.
yeah.
Sometimes you
it's
just
really
end up with
not.
diabetes.
I think but I don't think 60% of Americans have no choice but to be obese. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there is room there it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of motivation, but demotivating cannot be helpful.
Ultimately, look, the whole thing, some people have health,
Yeah.
there's genetic predispositions, but for the vast majority of people who are overweight, it's calories in, calories out. It's about choices. So I have mild hypothyroidism. That makes it more difficult for me to lose weight. But ultimately, if I'm not adhering to a strict diet, I'm going to gain weight. So a lot of people, some people I've got injuries too. That limits my ability to be more active, burn calories. So, but look, it's ultimately, there's very rare diseases or medical conditions which would result in you being overweight and you having no control over it. Calories in, calories out, calorie deficit. It's all that. Let's move on just because we've been on this for a while.